Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about a sort of poison pill lurking in the big, beautiful bill that the House passed after endless jawboning and back and forth. We've all seen the broad strokes of big tax cuts for the wealthy, cuts in Medicaid, notwithstanding the president's promises. Really a lot of bad provisions for the middle class and good for the rich. But one of the problems with these omnibus bills is you can sneak in little provisions, and if they hold to the entire bill, even if you dislike that provision and you're aware of it, you have to vote up or down on the whole bill. Indeed, there have been instances in the past when the one of the houses, usually the House, not the Senate, has tried this strategy, and people voted against it just because, on principle, they don't want to sort of pack everything in. Okay, this is a little legal, but hang with me because it could be very important. So in the big old bill, there is this smuggled in provision. I mean, not smuggled so much anymore because people are now aware of it, but it's, sort of embedded in there. And it is about injunctions by the district courts, so which we've seen again and again and again and again for these lawless administration executive orders, right? That's been the whole game so far. We haven't, in most cases, moved to the merits. Rather, judges sometimes, just today, yesterday as well, with excoriating the administration, have said, I'm putting a hold on this while we decide what's going on. And the administration more and more have been seeking emergency relief, and the whole fight is over whether Trump can do it now, or while the courts consider it, it has to be frozen. Okay. There's a provision in the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 65, and this is Rule 65C, that says if you get this is intended for a private case, but it doesn't specify it. If you get the benefit of an injunction like this, and thereafter the injunction is found to be wrongly entered, you have to initially post a bond so that if the party against whom the injunction has been entered has been harmed because the judge entered it wrongly, you have a bond that you've put forward so that the party can be made whole automatically. It's a little bit odd, right? You think the judge made the mistake, nevertheless, you post the money. We see that a lot in private cases. We saw it in E. Jean Carroll and the like. Now the Congress, in what is the House, there's no explanation for this other than to disempower citizens who are screwed by Trump executive orders and elevate Trump and the administration, have a provision in there that basically applies this to any case involving the government. So what it says is the government, the courts may not use any appropriated funds in a case in which this is requested, and the people on the other side, we're talking the ACLU, Abrego Garcia, the people who are, screwed by Trump's orders, have to post this bond. Now, to say you can't use any appropriated funds means you can't open the court, you can't spend a dime on salaries, you cannot do it. That would be the effect of the provision. And so what it's aiming to do is to make the Abrego Garcias of the world have to post thousands, hundreds of thousands, an immense bond in order to get an injunction from the courts to temporarily enjoin unlawful action, so that if that ruling by the district court is later reversed, the administration is made whole. Now, this has never been required by courts for cases involving the government. They have simply gone ahead and imposed the injunction and not tried to impose costs. And it would, the effect clearly, if it were actually law, forget about basically any of these cases, right? The litigants in question are specifically people who could never afford this. So it really is a terrifically unjust, nasty, and kind of vicious in its intent to just keep non-fat cats from being able to challenge government action. That's what it's about. Now, there will be some focus on it in the Senate. But in general, these big, beautiful bills, as Trump puts it, it's not necessarily easy to strip out individual provisions, even individual provisions that don't have the full support of either the Senate or the House. Now, there's going to be a big question if this passes, because arguably federal courts have inherent Article 3 authority to issue injunctions, which really, what do? They don't make the U.S. pay anything. They just say, stop doing this unlawful thing, or what really looks to me like this unlawful thing, while we figure it out. Now, for private parties, if I give you this order, Mr. Plaintiff, you gotta post a bond so that if I'm wrong, the defendant is made whole. So it's never happened for the government. And the question will become, do the federal courts have just inherent authority to basically ignore this provision and enter injunctions anyway without requiring the movants, who are the plaintiffs, the ACLU, et cetera, to post these huge bonds? And that'll be the sort of big time issue that will be basically, between the courts and the administration, if it goes, if this provision passes in the bill. So, keep your eyes peeled, and maybe the kind of small thing that they hope will slip through. If it does, it may still not have the impact that they hope. But to just take a step back, what it's plain they're trying to do, there's no government reason here. There's nothing about, the administration and the government needs what could it be? $100,000, let's say, a huge amount, money in case it gets reversed. This isn't like a private party. So it's just this really nasty, and kind of, little strategy, to keep people whose constitutional rights have been violated from staying the operation of these enforcement orders by the president. Recall that so often that's the whole game, right? If the president is able to let these go into effect, people's lives are completely upended, and even if they win down the line, you can't unscramble the eggs, as it were. And all this is about is a nasty pro-Trump provision to try to keep the law from being applied, as it has been, fortunately, to date with the various injunctions from the various courts. So don't mistake the intent for half a second. This is the Republicans absolutely doing Trump's bidding of saying, let's keep people out of court. That's what happens in authoritarian societies. And it's, designed to go at that, like a bullseye. And I'll just state for now, maybe a little quietly, so they don't even figure it out, that it's maybe not the end of the world. It would be the end of the world, let me say, if you couldn't bring these, you couldn't get injunction on executive orders anymore because of this. I think if this passes, there at least will be a strong argument that could still prevail, that courts could still enter them. But man, oh man, this is nasty stuff designed to just absolutely pull the rug out from under the very people in this country who are so victimized by this series of lawless executive orders from Trump. So if it passes, it's a bad day. That could be the sort of effect of the huge, beautiful bill. It won't be necessarily the end of the world, but, it'll be down to that one argument and whether it will prevail, namely that federal courts can do it anyway with their inherent power. So stay tuned for this and be aware of this little poison pill lurking in the big, beautiful bill. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.